Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing this beautiful Friday evening? I hope you've had a very good week. Please let me know how your week has been in the comment section. I'm really interested. Please just comment right now and let me know how you had your week. For me, in one word, I'll say my week has been restful, and this is because I've had leave this week again. Yes, it's part of the compulsory leave I had to take before the end of June, so I've had a very restful week. So obviously I'm coming to this with a refreshed energy. If you're new here, or if this is my first video that you're seeing, hello, hi, thank you very much for stopping by. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on your bell notification so that you get notified every time I post a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, you already know how much I love you. Thank you very much for coming back and welcome back. In today's video, we are discussing every single detail about maternity allowance and how to apply for it in the UK. This video is specifically for every pregnant woman or about to be pregnant or new mom in the UK, how you can benefit from the maternity allowance. So you want to watch till the very end. So what is the maternity allowance? As the name implies, maternity allowance is the payment that you get from the UK government when you take time off to have a baby. And in order to qualify for the maternity allowance, you have to be employed and not qualify for your statutory maternity pay, otherwise known as SNP. Your statutory maternity pay is the normal maternity benefit you would have gotten from your employer, but for whatever reason, if you do not qualify for the statutory maternity pay by your employer, then you should qualify for the maternity allowance by the government. The second category of people that qualify for the maternity allowance are self-employed people. If you're in the UK and you're self-employed, yes, you might qualify for the maternity allowance. And the third category of people that qualify for the maternity allowance is people that have recently stopped working. If you've been working in the UK and then maybe because of your pregnancy, or even it could be job loss, but it happened recently, then you just might qualify for the maternity allowance. Please note that even though maternity leave is for 52 weeks in the UK, you can only get maternity allowance for up to 39 weeks. That's the maximum weeks you can get. It could be lesser, but you cannot get more than 39 weeks. Bear that at the back of your mind. So how do you qualify for maternity allowance? Number one, you must be employed or registered as a self-employed person for at least 26 weeks. Number two, you must be earning a minimum of £30 per week for at least 13 weeks. And note that the weeks do not have to be together, but you must have earned at least £30 per week in 13 weeks. Number three, you may still qualify if you've recently stopped working or you recently become unemployed, as long as you have worked somewhere before and you have pay slips to show for it. And also, you don't have to have worked with one employer. You could have worked with multiple employers. As long as you have your pay slip, you still qualify. And fourthly, you could also still qualify for the maternity allowance if, God forbid, you lose the baby. Yes. So if you lose a pregnancy from 24 weeks and upward, then you may still qualify for maternity allowance. Also, if the baby was born alive at any point in the pregnancy and then the baby later dies, you may still qualify for maternity allowance. So now let's go to what you will get from this maternity allowance exactly. So you get paid £172.48 per week, or 90% of your average earnings per week, whichever is lesser. So this is what I mean by whichever is lesser. When you're submitting your pay slips, for instance, make sure that you put your best foot forward, especially if you are a student or you are somebody working with an agency and your income varies from time to time. So when you're submitting your 13 weeks of pay slip, ensure that you put your highest pays. They don't have to follow each other. It doesn't have to be each month. Look for the months that you earn the highest. If you had a consistent salary, then you don't have to bother about that anyway. But if you work with an agency and there are some days that you've earned more, some days you've earned less, make sure that you submit the best pays that you've gotten in those 13 weeks. They don't have to follow each other. The reason why this is important is that it gives you a better chance of earning up to that 172, for instance. For instance, in my case, I did not get up to that 172 because my average earnings were not that high. And obviously, like they've stated, in the rules, that you either get 90% of your average earning or £172. So if your average earning is higher than £172, you will not get you will get £172. That's the That's the cap for the maternity allowance, and this is per week I'm talking about. And if your average earning is, lesser than that, that's what you get. So I hope it makes sense. Also note that even though the payment is calculated per week, you don't get paid every week. You either pick to be paid bi-weekly or monthly. Also, it is very important to note that you will only be paid for 39 weeks. Do not forget that you won't be paid for the whole 52 weeks of maternity leave. Depending on where you work also, if you take the 52 weeks of maternity leave, and you're earning statutory maternity pay, then it depends on your employer, but they are not compelled to pay you for the final 13 weeks of your maternity leave. So your employer could be kind enough to pay you through the 52 weeks, but the compulsory part is to pay you for up to 39 weeks at least minimum by employer. So that's also the same thing that applies, to the government, the maternity allowance package. So now let's go to how you can claim. Number one, you can claim maternity allowance once you've been pregnant for up to 26 weeks, and you can start getting paid up to 11 weeks before your baby arrives. So that means you have to apply early in this case if that's what you're planning. Number two, go to gov.uk and search for maternity allowance claim form. Number three, you can either print this form and fill it, or you fill it online and print it, or you request for the form to be sent to your address, to be posted to your address, and then you fill it. Either of these options are available to you, and it's up to you to pick the one that works best for you. But once you fill the form, then you would have to submit it to the address on the form. Number four, note that you will need to give details for up to 66 weeks of your employment before you get pregnant. Before you panic, you need to actually go to gov.uk to read of this thing, because I don't know how I'm going to explain it that it will make sense to you. But this 66 weeks before you got pregnant is called the test period, and even though it sounds like a lot, it's not necessarily a lot. Just make sure you go to gov.uk to read up on it. And there's also a calculator to calculate this test period. It's available on gov.uk. You don't need to rack your brain or count your fingers for the 66 weeks. The calculator is on gov.uk, and the explanation is there. The detailed explanation is there. So all you need to do is refer to it for further guidance. Then finally, send your claim form to the address on the form. You find the address at the final page of the form. Send your claim form to the address. Obviously, to send it, you need to go to the post office. So in addition to your maternity allowance claim form, you also need to submit some additional documents. The first one will be your pay slips. Yes, your original pay slips. Make sure that you have original pay slips from your employer. Most employers these days send it digitally to your email, or they have a platform where they upload it, and some people could still be collecting it manually. Just ensure that you have your pay slips with you, and then you are submitting 13 weeks of pay slip. Even though I'm mentioning 13 weeks, I feel a need to simplify that. If your pay slip is monthly, that means you have 4 weeks. You are required to submit 13 weeks of pay slip. That means all you need to do is submit 4 months of pay slip. Also, please don't forget that if you work with an agency or your salary is not the same, make sure that you are submitting the highest paid in all your pay slips. I don't know if that makes sense. Make sure that you are submitting the ones you got paid the highest. Secondly, you have to submit your proof of due date and birth. So if you're applying for the maternity allowance before your baby comes, remember that I said that you can start to earn your maternity allowance from 11 weeks before your baby comes. That means you probably have applied like 26 weeks or 27 weeks. So if you applied for your maternity allowance early, then you can start to collect your maternity pay early. So in this instance, you don't need to show proof of birth. You only need to show your MAT-B1 certificate. Your MAT-B1 certificate will be issued to you by your midwife or your GP. So make sure you collect it from them. If your baby has been born by the time you're applying for the maternity allowance, please make sure that you submit your baby's birth certificate also. So that's the instance where you need to also submit proof of birth, which is birth certificate. So you submit your MAT-B1 and baby's birth certificate if you're applying after you have given birth. But if you're applying before you give birth, you don't need to submit birth certificate. All you need to submit is your MAT-B1 that has your baby due date on it. And finally, you also need to submit the SNP One form from your employer. So the SNP One form is the form that your employer will fill for you if they are refusing to pay you maternity allowance. After you submit all of these documents, if any other thing is required or if something is not clear, be rest assured that they are going to mail you requesting for it. Also, if you are self-employed, please go to gov.uk and read up on what is applicable to you. I'm only able to share from the position of an employed person. So some of these things that I've stated, you might not be able to produce them. So go to the website. They have exhaustive information for self-employed people. So before you cancel collecting maternity pay, go to gov.uk and read up about it. Finally, note that you will get a decision about your application in 20 working days. And trust me, they're actually very prompt and will most likely give you in 20 working days. So if you are watching this video, especially up to this point, and you're still confused or you have any questions at all, please put them in the comment section. I'm going to collate all the questions that come from this video, and I'm going to personally research them and do another video to ensure that I answer them. Obviously, I'm going to answer as extensively as I can in the comment section, but I'm also going to collate it and make another video so that people and future people will make reference, and if they are frequently asked questions, that can help somebody else. Another important thing I want you to note is that if you're applying for the maternity claim after your baby is born, please make sure you apply before your baby is 3 months or by 3 months, because once your baby has exceeded 3 months, you might lose some money. You might not get the full 39 weeks of pay. So please ensure that when you're applying after your baby is born, make sure that you apply within the first 3 months of your baby being born. Your first pay will definitely be prorated, so they will calculate the weeks from when you had the baby to the point that you have applied, and they'll keep paying you till it's 39 weeks. I really hope that you guys have found this video helpful. I had to do a lot of research myself, even though I've benefited from the maternity pay myself, but I had to do like a lot of research in order to collect this video and give the right information. So if you watch to this point and you have found it helpful, please say it in the comment section. Let me know. And if you have any questions, don't forget to pop it in the comment section. So thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing. You just can never tell who will need this video, because every single penny every single penny and pence count. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that they don't charge tax or national insurance on the maternity allowance, so you get the money in full. So thank you so much for watching again, and see you in my next video. Bye.